Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Lyn-Dee Eldridge. Lyn-Dee Eldridge is your Chief Happiness Officer, founder of Happiness Jungle, entrepreneur mentor, #1 best-selling author, Keynote motivational speaker, breast cancer survivor, humorist, co-brand partner with Les Brown, TV radio personality, and the podcast personality and host of I'm Crazy, But You Can't Lock Me Up. And last but not least, the creator of the Happiness Jungle emotional support body pillow. Lyn-Dee is a true trauma to triumph survivor. She came from the School of Hard Knocks and has a New York state of mind. Her success has always grown because her formula works. Happiness equals success, and it's never the other way around. Welcome to the podcast, Lyn-Dee.
Kimberly, thank you so much. I am just so blessed and favored to be here. You know, Incredible Life, just your podcast alone, right? The title of your podcast, Incredible Life Creator. I mean, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, you are welcome. And I was so excited to have you on because, looking at your story, I'm like, wow, and she came out of all that as the happiness guru, if you will, through all this. So just so people can get to know you, why don't you start out by telling us like where you grew up, how you started out, kind of how your life has been, and how you ended up as the happiness officer.
Okay, I want to start off with, first of all, thank you very much. And secondly, through the journey that I'm going to share with you of my story very quickly, I want everybody to look at things differently as live life on purpose as I'm sharing my story with you, because that's how and why I am who I am today, which is, yes, your Chief Happiness Officer of the Happiness Jungle. So I was born in New York. I was, while I was there, my parents got divorced when I was 1.5 years old. I am the youngest sibling out of 3, and I was the one that was abused and just treated extremely poorly. My first book, Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors, shares that with you. At the age of 11, I was transplanted to South Florida, where I resided for 33 years. In between that time, I got married at the age of 18 to I thought who was Prince Charming, only turned out to be Anus. That's his name in the book. And to get out of my toxic upbringing, what I thought was the home. The title of the book, Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors, because nobody ever knows what people are going on behind their closed doors, right? But I look at this as purpose. And so I got married to a monster. However, he granted me with a beautiful daughter 6 years into the marriage. What was the purpose? My beautiful daughter, who's granted me 4 beautiful granddaughters and a wonderful son-in-law. Live life on purpose. Without that dreck in my life, I could not be a grandmother and have the kids that I have. Mm-hmm. And then I was divorced for 20 years. I dated a little bit. I had 2 live-in boyfriends, one for 5 years. He was a good man, but he was an alcoholic and he had to go. And but a good man. And then the next gentleman I met 1.5 years. Now notice I'm talking about the span in between the relationships, because we need to pause when we're moving on into a new relationship so we don't bring the old baggage and ways with us into the new, right? Exactly. So then there was another 1.5 years that I wasn't with anyone, again, finding myself, knowing that I was capable of putting the roof over the head of my daughter and I. And then I met another gentleman. I was with him for 12 years. Wonderful, just didn't work out. And then I was separated for another period of time where I met my former husband, who I transplanted myself now to New Hampshire. And I resided there for 14 years. It was absolutely wonderful. We were a combined family. I understand combined families. And long story short, after 14 years, things weren't working out well again. So I decided in 2016, the Happiness Jungle was created. I was going to go ahead down to South Florida to visit my mom and go ahead and share Happiness Jungle with the people I knew in South Florida. Well, God and the universe works in mysterious ways, and I became the caretaker of a very abusive mother. And, she's known all over the world. God bless her. I shared a lot of the story as I was helping my mom enter the next chapter of her life. So I understand this phase of it. And what was the purpose that I was the chosen one when I was the child who was abused in that home? Well, it was clear. It was for me to understand the last chapter, to help others into the last chapter, and now to be working with the assisted living community. It's a beautiful thing. Live life on purpose. During 2017, I found that I had the breast cancer. Oy vey. So I felt fine. I looked fine. Everything was fine. My former husband and I, we were trying to get back together. That bouncy ball, right? And things just couldn't happen. 3 weeks into radiation, I got divorced. What was the purpose? Well, what was the purpose of the breast cancer? My book, Squeeze My Tatas. You're only one mammogram away from knowing. And Kimberly, what I love about that book is that there's a special chapter in there for men, because men can also get the breast cancer. So it is a positive book about how to get through it. So, and what was the purpose of me getting a divorce 3 weeks into radiation? Well, it was the body pillow that I've been sleeping with for 2.5 years. That bugs me. And that, supports others in so many ways, whether it's health related or whether it's an emotional support. The pillow is doing extremely well, because, and I want our audience to understand that if something works for you and you could feel it in your heart that it could help others, that's the key to success. Helping enough people get what they need and they want, and in return, you will always have what you need and want. So the message right there for your wonderful audience, well, it's ours right now, right? Yeah. Okay, is there's something inside of them that's saying to them, if only I created that, if only I create that, it's working for me. If it's working for you, I say, go for it. Go for that dream, because that's what happened with this emotional support body pillow. It filled the need. I wanted to be hugged. I wanted to be loved going through what I was going through. And I had to forgive my former husband for his weaknesses. Okay, so I had to do that. And I didn't lose a night's sleep. So here I am talking about it on the stages. I write about it in the book, Squeeze My Tatas. And what are people saying to me, Kimberly? Where's the pillow? I want the pillow. I'm like, So one morning I finally woke up. It's like I should have had a V8, and I created the pillow. But everything is a process. I want everyone to realize that, life is a process, but it's a good one. And the day you decide to make that divine decision that today's the day, and you really are ready to work harder than you've ever worked before on yourself, in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, your whole world is going to start transforming. Not completely change. Boy, right? Am I right, Kimberly?
It only takes 90 days. It really does.
That's it.
A lot can change in 90 days.
A lot can change. So you asked me to share my story, and I appreciate that, because there are so many parts of it that people could relate to. And now let me bring it fast forward of who I am. And I have no ego and pride. I live my life every day to help people smile and have peace in their life and harmony. And whether it's businesses that I'm working with, or whether it's individuals that I'm working with. And what brought me to where I am today is I always had that drive and that passion to love and help people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was very crystal clear, right? When everything comes about. So many people are trying to figure out who they are today, and where do they fit in, and how do they belong. And, with the COVID, wow, that just blew our whole world upside down. But I look at it as, it didn't turn my life upside down. It gave me a nice world spin. Mm-hmm. But maybe I could create something that I've always dreamed about. Mm-hmm. And you know what? You can.
And I believe that. It's so funny. I stopped at my accountant's this morning to pick up my taxes that I was getting done. And we were talking about this, and, he said, well, he wasn't affected that much because everybody can just send things, over the internet or whatever. And I said to him, this could all be a good thing. I said, people thought they were comfortable, but they really haven't for the last 10 years. They haven't been comfortable. All of a sudden, they have the possibility of changing. It's okay to change. They have permission to go and explore something else. They can use the excuse that they lost their job or things are changing, but either way, it allows people to take a look and see what it is they want.
Oh,
And I think it could actually be the best thing that can happen. It's not best thing when people are sick or scared. That's not best. But
right.
for people to look and say, okay, everything's kind of new, that means it's all open. It's an open field. I have all these doors. I have all these openings. Which direction I want to go in?
Yeah. I love that. I love exactly how you put it. And we pray to God every day, or we speak to the universe, or whoever that higher being is for you, right? And you're constantly saying, I need to change. I want fill in the blank. If only I had fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, my life would be so different. I would be so fill in the blank. At that moment, here's what I know to be true. The God and the universe has heard you. And they start opening doors. But then people say two things. Oh my gosh, now really? It's not a good time. I can't start this now. But you asked. There's doors that are opening. No one's saying you got to stay there, but at least see, is there a beginning process? Because you're not going to go full time becoming the new you. But if you start walking through these doors, you don't know who you're going to meet. And that's my story. I just kept on asking, and I was paying attention to what doors are opening. And I would make sure I said hello. And I learned how not to be afraid. Because when somebody said to me, and I'm going back many years, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yes.
I was like, wow, you know? So who am I hurting by not asking and by just smiling? You could just smile. If you don't smile and you haven't smiled in a long time, that's okay. It's called your reflection in the mirror. Start practicing smiling. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Right there just opens up a whole different world when you walk out, right?
Mm-hmm. It really does. I mean, I've shared this before, but I mean, I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror at myself. And of course, no one looks very good in the morning. I look in the mirror myself and I say, good morning. I am love today. I'm the most magnificent person in the whole world. And I put my hands up like this. And then I just laugh as hard as I can.
Oh, you see?
But how many times do we actually look at ourselves and smile at ourselves, regardless of how we look or how we feel? Because I'm not that much of a morning person either. So it's just, but yeah, we want to smile, you want to laugh, you want to have some happiness and release.
And there are times in your life where it's so difficult. You feel like your whole world is just crashing down. But that's when you turn on YouTube and you listen to your mentors. And they turn you on and they listen to your podcast, Kimberly, because your guests that you've had on have been brilliant and have so many clues. You are brilliant. And you are one of the best people for people to turn to say, I wonder what Kimberly would do during this situation. I got to go back and listen to her. Right?
I don't have the answer. Probably somebody that I had on can resonate with that person. It's going to be somebody to resonate with.
Yeah. But I love who I am and what I do, which I'm now keynote speaking internationally. Of course, an author, podcasting, and it's just, I realized a long time ago, happiness equals success. If it doesn't make you happy and you're grunting every morning and you're dreading getting out of the bed and you want to throw your clock, your alarm clock, your phone, whatever it is, across the room, you need to take a breath and you need to say, what's going to bring me happiness? Because I can assure you the money you think is going to bring you happiness brings you the things to make you feel happy. And boy, do you have fun, but that's not it. So, but if you have happiness equals success, you have the whole world. You know, you could have a million dollar bank account. I love $1 million bank accounts, right? But what are you going to do with that money? So happiness equals success, where in fact, you know, you put your money in different places because you've changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the
Exactly.
Scrooge, right? It's like a Scrooge. It's bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Well, we have different seasons of life. I mean, the things that I wanted to buy when I was 20 or I wanted to invest in or spend my time doing when I was 20 is definitely not what I want to do now. I
Exactly.
mean, the most valuable thing I've got in this life is my granddaughter, she's going to be 2 in the middle of September. There is nothing else in life better than spending time with my granddaughter. Hands
Period.
down.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? And you get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to do it.
Yes.
So your story, right, inspires others.
Mm-hmm.
Share your story with me and with everybody else for those that are like, wow, well, what about Kimberley? I want to know what about Kimberley, because you're absolutely right. It's our family, it's our belief, and it's what we do with our time. And I love how you said that. So now I want people to know who you are, even though this is your show. I still want them to know who you are.
Oh,
I want them
okay.
to be reminded.
Well, I think I grew up in a typical American home. It wasn't abusive. It was, relatively well functioning home. I was a high achiever because I had very low self-esteem. So achievement was the way that I felt good. And so I did very well at most things that I did. And one of my goals was to open a private practice. I'm a behavioral optometrist. So I did do that and I was very excited. And I said to myself one day, I don't care if I sleep here, I'm going to make this thing successful. And the sad thing is, I didn't sleep there, but I would have my children, with the nanny all day, and the nanny would bring them to the office, and I would, feed them and continue to work.
Right.
So I wasn't spending time with them. But then I got the call. My dad had been in a car accident. 2 cars hit him at the same time on an icy road. We didn't think he was going to come out of it.
Mm-mm.
And thankfully he did. And he's actually doing really well. They put some extra little pieces in him and stuff like that. And he was in a wheelchair for a long time. But, now he can play golf. So it's all good.
Thank
But
God.
that made me really start thinking about my life, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I lost one of my children, or I lost anybody, because anyone can be gone like that. You don't think about it, but anyone can be gone in an instant. And so I really started soul searching, and I said, okay, I've got to fix this. And so I took my hours and I only worked Monday through Thursday. Friday was the me day because I wasn't taking care of myself either. So Friday was my day to go do a massage or have lunch with friends. And then Saturday and Sunday were with my kids. And then, of course, Sunday was my church day. So I rearranged my life because I'm like, oh, it was just so clear to me how precious life is and how fragile life is and how things can be taken away so quickly. Like one day somebody's there, one day they're gone. And if you talk to any parents who have lost children to car accidents or whatever, I mean, who expects that their hourglass of life is going to be gone? You don't know how much sand is in the top. So I really started changing the way I did things. So this was like many years ago. So I started my journey of creating, what I was passionate about and how to actually put pieces of happiness into my life. And so I said, well, my kids were getting older now. They're going to be they were in high school. I'm like, oh, they're going to be out of the house soon. So I think I'm going to change what I'm doing now. What am I going to do for my second half of life? So I decided I wanted to go and actually teach people how to have a happy life. And my background is in behavioral optometry. So I was good at assessing people in all areas, nutritional, emotional, how their brain works. and I would help them break down patterns and create ones that were more beneficial so they could get their goals. So again, high achieving. But as I said, I can use all this to help people actually start to rebuild their lives and to put the things into their lives that are most important, that make them the happiest. And so I started that journey. I started writing a book. But while I was, when I was almost done with the book, I had been dating someone, and we were about 9 weeks away from our wedding day, and he died. Just like I had talked to him at lunchtime on Monday, and we couldn't, he wasn't responding. So we sent someone to go check on him about noon the next day, and he had fallen asleep talking on the phone in his bed. He just stopped breathing, and he was just gone. And again, the same lesson of, oh my gosh, it can be gone so soon. And, when he left, it wasn't just the relationship that left, but, when anyone loses someone, it's all the dreams you had with them, all the, we had just looked at a house. We're about to put buy the house, and we were just planning our lives together.
Wow.
So it's not just the loss of the person in that daily special things, like we just sit in front of the lake and just look out of the deck and just look out at the lake and talk. Or we'd have our date night and we'd come back and we'd sing in the car. The song's really corny, but it's those little things. Or the when you really miss the person the most is that call, when every day you're calling them to say, hey, how you're doing today? And you go to pick up your phone and say, oh, I can't call because they're not there. So I understand, when people have loss, because I even feel it right now. It was just a huge loss. So, but regardless, I actually kind of rewrote the book and put that story into it. And my book is called Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life. And it's a step-by-step guide to actually putting that together in your life. And then I also interview people from different walks of life, just like I'm doing now in the podcast, and put their stories in. And they're very unique people. So hopefully someone will resonate with each person. And then when I started this podcast, I'm like, okay, I need to help more people. I did the same thing, because what I loved about writing the book was interviewing people. I'm like, I really am good at interviewing people. Yeah. So I think I'll just do this podcast and impact even more lives. So there's my story, and thank you for asking.
Wow. Well, I had to ask you, because everything that you said about your past brought you to where you are today. And there's a few things that I absolutely love that you shared with us, is that I had to cut my work week down, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to work. And so when we do that, isn't it funny? Because we let go of the fear. Well, what if I miss a day's work? How the 4 days was enough. And it really balanced out where we could take that extra day.
Actually, I made more money.
You made more money because you were more in demand.
Yeah, it just worked out. I just made more money. So I had my personal day, my kids' day, and I felt better. I was happier.
That's wonderful.
And I made more money.
Yeah, see, that's wonderful. So I've always been a workaholic like you, right? We work, we have to get things done. And then when I found out I had the breast cancer, which was a very big surprise, I was just going for my normal checkup. And here's what it taught me, because I remember the doctor saying, and I said, what am I to expect when I'm going through the radiation? And he goes, in about 2.5 weeks, you're going to start feeling tireder, if that's a word. Tireder. But I want you to honor that. And every time you feel that you want to rest, please do, because you got to allow your body to heal, to refreshen, to rejuvenate, and you can't ignore these things. Mm-hmm. How many times do we hear people say, no, I got to go back to work. I don't feel good. And it's like, okay, but you have to learn, how do you balance and honor that? That was the divine moment when I realized that happiness really does equal success. If I keep going until I'm fully exhausted, then what good am I to myself or to others?
Mhm.
So, you know, I believe in the saying, you have to slow down to speed up.
Mhm.
The only one you're in a race with is yourself, unless you're comparing yourselves to the Joneses and the Smiths in the world. And
Mhm.
it's not necessary.
Mhm.
Unless they're going to help you pay your bills, then what is that enough for you? And I'm not saying don't strive for higher. I always strive for higher.
Mhm.
The higher I go, the more I'm able to give, right? Bring it
Right.
on. Bring it all on, right? Shower me with the millions. That's fine, because I have plenty of places where that could go.
Mhm.
But I don't need to kill myself while we do that. And the other thing that Corona has taught us, as we're watching refrigerator trucks with bodies in them, like you said, life is so short. We don't know. So when are you going to find out? Is my question.
Mhm.
What are you waiting for? We all know it's a reality. Boom, you know. And thank you for sharing the story with your fiance. My goodness. But it was, I believe, because of the way that he passed, it was his time. God says, oh no, you had the expiration date a long time ago. Bloop, you know, no warning, bloop, you know. Picks us up and goes, that's it, right? And then, of course, we have the tragic deaths that I believe was an oops, maybe. You know, like the movie Heaven Can Wait, right? But life is what we make it, is my bottom line. And no matter what I go through in life, I am a firm believer that everything is on purpose. What am I going to do with that for the better best, for the better good? How can I help people? How can I serve people with that? You know, and I love, love, love the name of your new book, you know, Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So many people need that because they want it. They just don't understand it. They think
Mhm.
it's hogwash. It's not hogwash. It's just a lot of work.
Well, I mean, one of the most important things is, first of all, knowing yourself. And that's
Yeah,
where the book starts. It's like, who are you?
yeah. Who
Who
are
are
you?
you?
Yeah. And start with small reads. And if you're like me, I'm dyslexic, right? Start audios.
Mhm.
And it's everything out there in life is here for us. It's a matter of, do we want to watch this versus whatever else you watch? You can't afford it? All right. Well, I teach people that you don't spend money when you're working on yourself. That's an investment.
Mhm.
This is your temple. This is your brain. This is your mind. This is your heart. What are you feeding it, right?
Mhm.
So that's an investment. A tattoo, you're spending money. A cigarette, you're spending money. Drinking, you're spending money. Hats, clothes, material stuff, cars, you know. And I'm not saying don't spend it, but don't complain that you don't have on the things that are the most important. Because if you work on yourself and you get really crystal clear of who you are, all those other things are coming.
Mhm. That's true.
And you're not in debt.
Right. And I think a lot of times people get overwhelmed. They see everything and they're like, where do I start? So,
Yeah.
like when you're talking about, well, just get something positive to read or listen to. First of all, there's YouTube. So we all got that. But
Yeah.
also, one of my favorite places, because it was my very first job, is the library. There are
Uh,
libraries everywhere.
that's right.
If you have no money, go to the library. There is so many good things there. And if you're not a reader, they have audios, they have videos, they have everything. And another thing that you said that I thought of as I was thinking people being overwhelmed, just find that one thing, like you said, what's the one thing that if I had this, life would be better. So what's the thing that if it changed or you had it or you could figure it out, whatever that is, what is the one thing? And just start with only one thing and just start stepping forward. Even if you don't know what to do, just start stepping towards the goal of having that.
Yeah. And it could be, you know, for me, I remember I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I thought I was the ugliest thing in the world. And I would not, very, very little would I look in the mirror. And I said to myself, how do people see you if you don't know what you look like? And then sometimes people would say in my past, I mean, remember, I was from New York. I was a tomboy, had a mouth like a truck driver, and people would say certain things to me. And I'm like, I wonder why they think that. I wonder why they say I look mad when I'm not mad. So I had to start, and I said, I'm going to have to look in the mirror, and I'm going to have to self-evaluate. What do people see that I don't see? Because right from the inside out, I look completely different than what I look like right now.
Yeah.
It's just different. So I wanted to see, and that's how I learned about smiling more instead of walking around without a smile.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, I'm 35 years into this, right? But I had to start somewhere. And for me, it was reading the books, simple books, listening to audios. Who Moves My Cheese? I mean, but then I became a student of Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn, and I invested in myself, and I paid to be a student with them. So, oh my gosh, I have so much of them in me. Mm-hmm. Find those that you could resonate with. Mm-hmm. There's so many that share your story. And there's so many ways to hear it. So you could say, if they did it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I accept it's not easy. I accept it takes time. Hey, I still do say to people, they're like, well, I don't know if I could change. I said, how old are you? They'll say, well, I'm 55. I said, it took you 55 years to become who you are today. You think in less than 24 hours, poof, you're just going to change? It doesn't happen that way, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, shoot, I never thought of it like that. Because we don't think of things like that, right? So then once they understand, wow, it took me 55 years, and this is me, if I want to change, I'm going to have to make that commitment. It's just like dieting. I don't like dieting, and I have to diet. I have to, especially with the corona. I gained 20, and I've lost 13 of the 20, and I don't like dieting, but I like the results.
Exactly. I don't eat sugar, but I don't like the inflammation that I get in my body. It doesn't feel good when I eat sugar, so I just don't eat it.
Exactly.
But I still want it.
Yeah, and everything in moderation. You don't have to give up everything. Everything in moderation. It's a step program. There's just no other way to put it. Whether it's an AA or an NA or what, it's a step-by-step program. Life is a process, and once you get it going, oh my God, it feels like you go to the gym every day, but you're happy to go to the gym because people are reacting and responding to you differently than how you were. You're approachable, you're kinder, One gentleman says, people don't like to be near me. And I said, do you smell? I says, and you're going to have to be honest because I can't smell. So you could have blown something right now, and I could assure you I'd be sitting here probably eating a chocolate bar if I wanted to. I said, so do you smell? And he goes, well, I don't think I smell. I said, well, smell yourself. I said, smell yourself. Pick up your arms. Do your armpits smell? And he goes, oh, my goodness. And I said, well, what's wrong? He goes, well, nothing. And I said, your armpits smell, don't they? And he goes, well, yeah. And I said, well, maybe that's a reason people don't want to stand by you. You got to shower more. Your hygiene. Well, we laughed so hard. Because I'll never put people down. I just want them to be realistic with themselves. Mm-hmm. And if a fact is a fact and a smell is a smell, you can't dispute the truth.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. And I think another good source of asking is people who really know you.
Yeah.
Ask them the question. It's scary to ask, but how do people see me? So we think we're portraying this certain person out in the public. And we're only fooling ourselves because other people are perceiving us totally different than what we think we're putting out. So if you have good friends or family members and you're not afraid to ask and actually hear the truth, that's a really good way to find out where you can fine tune things.
Oh, that is so well said. You know, I've owned a lot of businesses, and I always would share with my staff, please don't ever be afraid to come to me and share some thoughts of maybe I offended you, or I didn't say hello to you, because maybe there's no reason why I shouldn't be saying hello to you.
Mhm.
Is the bottom line. So please, you know. And they're like, seriously? And I says, I am very serious. And if you feel like you're too timid, you write it and throw it, you know, just anonymously. But I would like to know, because a happy environment to work in, happiness equals success. We will all thrive, right? We will all absolutely thrive. It's one of the greatest things I love to do when I'm working with corporations, is go in and help them build up this morale of happiness and joy, appreciation and gratitude, and let's know each other's names. You know, she works on the second floor. Who's she? Right? So, you know, we need to get along and get to know people and be okay with giving compliments. And as long as you ask a question and you're not insulting or cursing and you're polite to the ears, there's no reason why you can't ask a question. And if the first question to help you out of that box, that fear, is, I'm kind of nervous, but I really would like to ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? And before you ask that question, I want to know why, you know, what's the answer that you're thinking of, right? What's the outcome that you're looking for? So how could you ask that question with that in mind? And even if it's, you know, can I ask you a question? Did I offend you? You have to be ready to take that bullet. But more importantly than that bullet is that I want you to turn it around, and I want you to take ownership of it. And instead of rejecting the answer, whatever it is, you know, do you think that I could work with you right now? Well, you don't have enough experience right now. All right, but everybody keeps on telling me that. How am I supposed to get more experience if everybody's telling me that I need experience? How many times does that happen in our lives, right? And the bottom line is that there'll always be somebody, if you ask the right questions the right way with a smile on your face and they see enthusiasm, they'll say, man, I'd love to train you so I could mold you the way we do business. I'm glad you don't have any experience. I get to mold you. I don't have to get, you know, breaking bad habits. But if you walk in and you got this attitude of ego and pride, hey, let me ask you something. You know, how come you don't do? Well, number one, look at your body language. Look at your voice, what your voice is projecting. And just, that's what that's what we do, right? We teach people, slight edge philosophy, how to speak kinder, so people want to listen to you, and how not to speak at all, so other people could talk and you could, you know, listen. So life is so much fun when you start working on you first.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the other thing I was thinking of is you were saying that not only to not speak so someone else can speak, but there's people that will never speak and they have a lot to share. I mean, they could add so much value, but they're sitting there not saying their opinion and everybody suffers. So if you're the quiet person, make sure you actually take time and share.
Yeah. Because whoever that person was in your past that has stifled you in that way, no, get out of that prison, because you're brilliant. You are brilliant. And what you have to say, the world wants to hear it. You just have to find the right circle of friends that appreciate you and don't look at you like you were. And there's so many ways to meet new people. How do I meet new people? Well, I don't care where you live around the world. There's a site that's called meetup.com. It's free. It's on social media. You pick hobbies. You pick everything that you like to do. Everything from hobbies to playing to career to every activity you can imagine. You pick like a radius that you will be willing to travel 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, what's that radius around you? And they put you in the system, and all of a sudden you're seeing these brand new groups that pop up. Hiking group, walking group, fishing group, swimming group, young entrepreneur group, dentals, I mean, crazy, right? And then you go and you're meeting new people that have never met you. You never met them. And you get to start over because now you've been working on yourself. You started working on yourself. You got to love your old, but you got to leave them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go forward. And all of a sudden, your new friend says, hey, we're going out for coffee afterwards, or whatever that flavor is. Would you like to come? And you have the, it's your decision to say yes or no. And if it's yes, great. And if it's no, maybe you didn't like that meetup. Doesn't mean all meetups are bad. Try another one and another one and another one. We can rebuild our lives no matter what.
Mm-hmm. We sure can. And as you were talking about that, I actually went to a meetup the end of last year, and I met the boyfriend that I'm with now. And I never would have met him. I mean, he works in a corporate
fabulous
high position in corporate. I never would have met him otherwise.
What kind of meetup was it? Was it for sports or activity? What was it?
It was gold standard band dancing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of music is that?
It's like 70s. So they even had some guys up there, with the afros, and they did the little dances together, where they're synchronized. Oh, they're fabulous.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And he asked you to dance. How did you meet?
Yeah, he asked me to dance. And, I danced with several people, and we never really even connected until it was once a month. So I never really connected with him until the third time. And it's because it was the first week of December. And I guess a lot of, like, 2/3 of the group wasn't there that time. And so there was hardly anybody there. So we danced a while, and then we got tired of dancing. So we just sat and talked for about an hour and a half. And that's how it started.
There you go. And see, that's what I'm talking about. But if we don't get out of our homes, and if we keep on falling into the same pattern, then we'll always have what we have today. Mm-hmm. And I was sharing with somebody earlier, this morning, a matter of fact, and I said to her, she was complaining. I don't give people permission to steal my energy. Mm-hmm. That's, again, happiness equals success. So in order to work with me, I have to qualify people. And I ask them questions. And I let them know, just like I don't want to drain you, I do not give you permission to drain me. Mm-hmm. But if you're the kind of person that's ready to really step outside that box and understand the work that it's going to be, but it's going to be fun. I promise you. It is. We are going to laugh so hard sometimes that we're going to pee our pants. We're going to have to wear Depends. But it is going to be such a change, but you got to be willing to do the work. And there's a few things that you can't say once you agree with this. And one of them is, I can't. Mm-hmm. And that's such a hard one to break. I can't, it's so hard, but it's a good one to start off with. Mm-hmm. So,
when you said that, when I had my therapy center where I was doing vision therapy with people, the first session I'd sit down with them, or the therapist would sit down with them, and we'd say, okay, we got a couple rules here. One of the rules is that you can't say, I'll try, you just do. But the second one is you're not allowed to say the word I can't, no matter what. And if you do, it's almost like a swear word. We go, it's worse than a swear word. You are not allowed to say I can't. You just say, okay, we tell you what to do. Okay, I'm going to do it. You might fail at it, but you're going to do it.
Right. And that's why I tell people, all I want you to do, instead of saying I can't, I want you to start thinking of solutions of how you can. Even if you can't accomplish it 100%, you're closer than you've ever been before.
Exactly.
Right? Manifestation doesn't happen overnight. It's over a matter of time, a long time. Well, in '86, I heard Les Brown for the first time. And this was when I made my decision to get a divorce from the abuser with the 15-month-old baby in my hand, because I heard Les Brown. And I says, one day, I'm going to meet this man, right? He said, I have greatness within you. No one ever tells me that. I said, I have greatness. It was like the student was ready, the teacher appears. And I was like, from the television, he was like right there. Anus walks in and he's doing his regular bark because the dinner wasn't ready and all this stuff, right? First time ever. Kimberly, I didn't hear him. I heard Les Brown. I was melting into the television, right? My divine moment. I looked up at Anus and I said, we're getting a divorce. And I know I'm better than that. And of course, out of the abuser's mouth, which is very common, and a lot of people are shaking their heads right now, you know, where are you going to go? You're stupid, you're fat, you have a baby, you can't live without me, you can't survive without me, you're not going to take anything, blah, blah, blah. And it was like Charlie blah, 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 blah. And that was it, my divine moment. I said, one day I'm going to meet Les Brown, one day. Now I invested in myself, got involved with seminars, going, and I'm also involved in a multi-level marketing company, and we have amazing speakers. Les was one of them, right? I'm like, one day he's going to get to know who I am. 20 years go by. One day, take a picture with him. I'm 15,000 out of one in the audience. He doesn't know me from Cheyenne, right? It's one day, manifestation. I believe. 35 years later, I met Les Brown. There's another story that I'm not going to go into, but the long story of it is that Les knows me so well that the day after my breast cancer surgery, we called.
Beautiful.
So manifestation is real. Everything that we want is real. Just don't know how long it's going to take, but I know that as long as we don't give up on our dreams and we keep on going, it's going to happen.
Oh, that is so inspiring. And that is so true. Just so true.
And that's just one out of many manifestations that have happened to me in my life. Many. Because my blinders are off. I walk through every door. There are doors I turn around. I'm like, oh no, this was a test. This was only a test. Meh, 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 meh. Turn around and walk out, you know? But the other thing is that I want people to also understand that when you ask God in the universe for things, they may have a different way of you getting it. And it may not come in the form that you think it's going to come in. I had a woman who I interviewed on my TV show one time, and she's now a fertility coach. 12 years with her husband, try, couldn't have a baby. Please God, you know, bring me a child. I just want a child. 12 years. Went through the whole emotional cycle. All of a sudden her husband says, you know, maybe we should adopt. Okay, we'll adopt. And they had this beautiful little boy who I think was 6 weeks old. God had no intentions of her having a baby. When they were ready to accept the other choice of how to receive, God said, where have you been? I've been waiting. Here you go. Right? So you just got to realize that you could be asking God for something and there's doors opening and it may not scream your answer immediately, but I want people to start just pausing and thinking about that door that opened and said, how could it lead me to have the end result of what I asked for? Mm-hmm. I asked for a child. Well, he had no intentions of making me pregnant, that's for sure. But look what we have. Mm-hmm. That's just one out of many stories, right?
Beautiful. And we just can't be attached to the way things manifest.
No.
They never seem to really come the way you think they will.
Yeah, detach. Yeah, I feel like I was at Universal for the last 2 days with my grandchildren, so I feel like I'm in like all these war zones. Detach.
Oh my God. So we've been hearing some really fun things here, but I would like for people to know, you know, what you're doing now, what kind of services you offer people and companies, and how they can get to know you and how they can find you and connect with you.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. So if you're on Facebook, We have a Happiness Jungle fan page. The whole brand is Happiness Jungle. If you remember Happiness Jungle and you go to YouTube, put in Happiness Jungle. Instagram, Happiness Jungle. Facebook, Happiness Jungle. And also my podcast that I will be launching next week, I'm Crazy, but you can't lock me up, will be starting as well. So that also has a fan page on Facebook. I'm Crazy, but you can't lock me up.
Yeah, that's a great title. I saw that and I said, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then the website, happinessjungle.com. You could see me. You could go to the store, see the programs that I offer. And I'm always out to help people become their better best, to get unstuck, to make them realize that I don't care where your freckle is. You are special, you are unique, and you have to own this. Because as soon as you own it, others will accept you and you will find what you're looking for. You just like the meetup, right? Just like the meetup. So we have to ask our audience, I want you to look at your phones right now, and the last 5 people that you spoke to that are personally yours, right? Your friends that you call your friends, and your family that you call your family. Not the doctor, not the drugstore, not the 5 numbers that are in your phone. And I want you to think about these people, and you may have to love them from afar eventually, because if they're negative, you are number 6 in that group, and you are just like they are. Whether you believe that or not, you are. And when you want to take reflection on that, you go to your mirror and you take ownership of it. Change what you don't like. Just change it. But there's ways, and we have it. My YouTube channel has many hundreds of videos, and they're in play groups, so enjoy.
Well, thank you so much.
Read your book, my God, visualization, hello. Beautiful. All these clues. You're an angel, and I want to just say thank you so much, Kimberly, for having a nice conversation with me.
Yeah, it's been wonderful and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just a personal question directed for you. What gives you the most happiness and fulfillment at this point in your life?
Obviously, my grandchildren, without a doubt, they keep us very young, right? Mm-hmm. So they're a blessing. Like I said, I was at Universal for 2 days. I was very much childlike. I learned how to fly in the castle. That was amazing. What brings me happiness and joy? The testimonials that come in, whether it's about something I've said, or the Happiness Jungle Emotional Support Body Pillow that's helping so many people through anxiety, depression, health. It's the testimonials that keep me going. Wow. Because without those, it's like, am I doing what I want to do? Am I doing the right thing? Should I keep going? Mm-hmm. So for everybody out there, I love what you said. Ask others what would they say about you? Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's going to tell you a lot. And just be ready for it. And don't be anxious or angry. And that's the other thing that I'd like to close off with. I don't get angry anymore. I don't remember the last time I got angry. I get very disappointed. Mm-hmm. So say the word angry with me.
Angry.
Say it again.
Angry.
And I want your audience to do this too. Say it again. Angry. Now say disappointed.
Disappointed.
Do you feel that difference?
Yeah.
It still hurts. No matter what it is, it hurts. But instead of being angry, which is going to make you respond and react in all different kinds of ways, I'm so disappointed. And pause on that one. Leave the person that disappointed you and let them think about what just happened? Mm-hmm. Right? Because when we share with people, I'm not angry. I'm just so disappointed. I thought fill in the blank. Versus, I'm so angry at you. Well, that makes people want to stay away from you, right? Or you're angry at me, and then it starts the war. And what does that war create? People say it was a conversation. Did you hear what the other person said? Did
No.
the other person hear what you had to say? Oh, but they did. The selected words.
Mhm.
They forgot all those other words. So we really we got to understand this, and we have to really believe that we could take ownership of enjoying an abundance and a beautiful life where there's still going to be turmoil and there's going to be the tornadoes in your life. But as you grow, you learn how to get divorced 3 weeks into radiation and be okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. I've so enjoyed it.
You're delicious.
Thank you. And I
Thank you.
have one last question for you.
Yes.
What is your best advice on living an incredible, happy, amazing life?
Don't take things so personally. What other people think about you doesn't matter, right? Unless you're asking them and you really want to dig deep inside. But you know those ugly people, your haters? Those are the ones I'm talking about, okay? And it's not up to you to help others be happy. It's not up to you. How many times do people say, but I try so hard to make him happy, her happy, them happy. I try so hard and this is what I get in return. It's not up to you. It's not your job to make other people happy. You will find the new people because you're happy, they're happy, and now you're able to create wonderful solutions.
Beautiful.
Those are my words. I'll close off with that.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again soon.